Was really impressive today, and it started Monday. You know, starting pitchers get a chance to assess how their previous start was and kind of prepare for the next. And that started with the video session he had with Chuck and trying to make sure we understood where these fastballs needed to be located. It was more trying to get back down in the bottom of the zone, where then the changeup that's down in the bottom may get some more swings. So then going and taking that work out into the bullpen and applying the things that he had seen and knew he needed to work on. In the one bullpen session you get as a starter, you may get on the mound twice, but there's one real significant work day on the mound where you can really, really dial it up, especially when, you know, the pitch count in the previous start. And not a ton, but the workload has been a lot. Taking that into the pen and then taking what he did into the pen right out into a game setting was impressive to see. And you learn as you go, and I really learned a lot this week about him, and you know what kind of person he is, but you see him take those competitive steps and go out and pitch. Again, that's a good team, and they have balance in the lineup, so you're dealing with left-handed hitters, right-handed hitters. They have some guys in there with some thump. They're not giving away at-bats with 2 strikes, so you have to pitch and play to get those guys out, and he did that. I think I had also on top maybe 5 times he was involved in a defensive play. Some of the balls in the 4-hole, the little bunt that he barehanded and threw, and he fields his position well, which kind of limits balls that somebody else has to handle. And he did a nice job with that. So it was his day, and thankfully we delivered some blows that were able to open the game up, which was very nice. We haven't had a game like that in a while.
The first inning kind of felt like a hinge point for Connor. The first 2 guys, and neither of them hit the ball especially hard, but both reached base. And I mean, that's a buckle down moment for him, it felt like.
Yeah, their leadoff guy, that changeup, he stayed down in there with that. I think that was a changeup, and he hit that ball in the center field pretty good. And then the little chopper, I think it was a hit and run or something that was just essentially in no man's land. And then, all right, it's like the first inning last night where you've got traffic and issues right out of the gate. I thought the punch out of the 3-hole guy was a pivotal early pitch in the game, and a good sequence of down. Again, he kept the ball down and was able to get out of it. And then we had some good 2-out, 2-strike type at bats, so we're able to lengthen our offensive innings. And then the 2 triples and the home run, you have to have somebody deliver some blows with runners on base if you're going to score in bunches, and we were able to do that on 3 occasions, I guess. So it was good.
You've gotten 15 of 18 innings from your starters this weekend. Just how big of a tone setter is that?
Brett, it's great. You know, and it gives some of these guys a chance to catch their breath a little bit in the bullpen. And that's the idea with starting pitching, to be honest, is you really extend, and then your bullpen becomes matchups and like how things feel and look based on the score of the game. And we haven't had a lot of opportunities to use the bullpen that way. There's times we're trying to get somebody in there, somebody else to extend. So that was great. And again, that's the concept with your starting pitchers, is they can lengthen it out once a week, but that hasn't always been the case with us. But this weekend it has been, and it's great. And it gives some of those other guys a chance, Army and Kirkland and some of those guys that have thrown a lot, a chance to breathe a little bit.
Speed's probably not the biggest strength of Cam's game, but he's got 3 triples this weekend. What does that say about how he's hitting the ball?
Well, he drives the ball to all fields, and when you drive it to right center field, like that's a spot where triples occur, and he hits it hard. And sometimes how the ball comes off the wall, and the outfielder pursuing it in a certain way, maybe thinking they can catch it, and they just can't track it down. And then the velocity, like that it comes back off the wall. There's some weird things that happens because he hits the ball so hard. And then once he opens it up, he can run. Now the big swing and getting out of the box, different for certain hitters, but clearly once he gets going, like when you see him make the turn at first base and he's rolling, he's really, really flying. So that's the other side of it. And you have to trust that you're going to push it, and some of those triples are not easy to acquire, so you have to have the wherewithal to give it a shot and do it. That's one thing we've done pretty well this year. I think our triple total is pretty impressive.
You guys still have a chance to make the ACC tournament. How much is that motivating you guys right now?
Well, it's huge. You know, to be in the discussion of not is clearly the opposite of what you would think you're talking about. So to have a chance to keep fighting and clawing to get in there is great. You know, and we've talked about for a while, every one of these games is critical. Like there's must-win games that are really enjoyable at the end of the year. Like if you're winning to win a super regional and a regional and the national championship, that's one thing. And we're having to go through must-win games essentially like every time we step on the field. So as hard as that is to realize and deal with, like it's a reality right now. So some of those bumps, like in time, build some callousing and teach you what it's like to play in must-win games. And these are not the type that you want, but in essence, you learn from it.
I know you could talk a while about James's bat talent, but the development at first base defensively, how pleased have you been with that?
Well, good. And we picked this up in the spring because he wasn't able to do anything all fall. So we knew that was going to be a little bit of a work in progress. And today to see some of the decisions on how to handle some of the ground balls, and then the last out of the game to retreat across the back of the bag and extend, because if you stay in front of the bag and try to reach, you may not get that, but he glided off the back, and that's an advanced field type play. So you see him gaining some confidence and comfort, and I think it's the most underrated, underappreciated defensive position. There's so many things that come up over there, and as he's continued to mature in that position, like it'll help everybody, but it's sometimes a comfort thing, and I think we're finally seeing him become a little bit more comfortable in his skin over there first.
Diama's back in the leadoff spot this week. Just how pleased have you been with the way he's hit the last couple of weeks?
Well, we need him up there, and he's kind of a table setter that sprays it around and has the bunt threat and the run threat, and that's really what you like at the top. And he went through that stretch where the poor guy was playing through the injury, and that's difficult. So I think we're starting to see him like trend back in the right direction, and seeing him comfortable and hanging in there on some of the left-handed pitchers is good. And I don't know that we saw enough out of that early in the season to really know what that was going to look like, but the numbers are starting to swing back where he's having some good at-bats and getting some hits off the lefties, which if you're going to lead off, like you're going to have to deal with that. And the bullpen matchups, like when you get to the top of the lineup, people look at how do we use the bullpen and match it up. So it's great to see him, and the evolution of his game is just going to continue.